Hi, my name is Eric LaFoon, and I'd like to talk to you about the Kommander Kickstarter project. Well, who should watch this video? Hey, if you've always wanted to be a programmer but found it to be too difficult, you should watch this video. If you're a small business person like myself and you're trying to figure out how you can leverage yourself against the big guys and take better control of your information management, you should watch the video. If you're in IT and you'd like to be a lot more efficient, maybe come in as a superstar and save the company a lot of money and headaches, you should watch this video. And if you're somebody who just writes scripting languages like web development and you've always liked to do application development someday, well, again, you should watch the video. Hey, even if you just love tech and you don't do any programming or ever plan to, you should still watch the video. Why not? So, let me give you a little bit of background about Kommander. Kommander started out just over 10 years ago on KDE on the KDE desktop on Linux, and it's kind of a little fun program. Originally, we just wanted to move text strings around and output something out onto the shell, and just in its initial inception, we were really surprised and taken aback. KDE has a free software site that distributes KDE software. And the Kommander programs became so popular that it got its own little category for them. And there were several hundred of them. And some of them were very, very highly rated because they were basically people just wrote front ends to a lot of different shell scripts and shell programs and whatnot. And then we decided to make some enhancements. And we decided to upgrade the parser, make it a full parser, and add the ability to add plugins. And suddenly it dawned on me that Kommander had a lot more potential. And before you knew it, I was using it to run my business, and it worked great for running my business, and it's been really wonderful. I really don't want to use any other software to run my business, because with Kommander I can do anything I want. I can do it insanely fast. I can fix any problem with it really quick, and I can have a lot of fun doing it. So the purpose of this Kickstarter project, as I mentioned, I have several businesses, but I got to tell you, none of them has of yet made me independently wealthy. So I spend a lot of time, trying to chase the dollar and make things work. And I got to thinking, what would really be great? I'm going to be expanding one of my businesses here next year. I'd really like to get Kommander up to speed and do all of the different improvements that I'd like to do with it. And I'd really like to spend some time and just enjoy myself programming instead of running around like crazy all the time. So, a little bit more of a normal life. So I thought this sounded like a good way to do this. So Kommander was originally developed on what's called Qt 3. Now, if you're not familiar, Qt is large Q, capital Q, small t, Qt, the Qt toolkit. Started over 10 years ago, probably about 15 years ago or more now. And originally people wondered why they were doing it, but it became so popular as a multi-platform toolkit. Later it was sold to Nokia, then with all of the things with Microsoft was divested. And the bottom line is that this has now been, as guaranteed, free software for everybody to use, even though there is a company working with it and still developing it. And since then, they've released a Qt version 4 and Qt version 5. Now, we had Kommander pretty much ported to run on the Qt 4, but we didn't have the application development setup all done. And then I got too busy. And Qt 5 is out now. It also has mobile targets and a bunch more functionality. And let's face it, it's just too wonderful not to be able to take advantage of. I recommend, if you want to get familiar with some of what this is based upon, is to go and do a little bit of search for Qt and look through some of the documentation and look at their Qt creator development. But let me just go over briefly some of the features in Kommander. Now, some of these features many of these already exist, and some of these will be included. But the first one is rapid development. Kommander is a task-based development. Okay, and what that means is you draw the windows that you want to use, and then you say, okay, when I push this button, I want this to happen. When this happens, I want it to make this happen. When something shovels over here, I want this to happen. When I get something off the web, I want this to happen. And so that is a much faster way of doing things. I've been able to track it, and I believe that it's about 20% the time that it takes for my other application development, like if I use C++. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you just how fast Kommander is. I encourage you to hang in to the end, because if you're one of those people that I mentioned earlier on, this is going to be very impressive for you. Okay, now, Easy to, first of all, platform neutral. Basically, I do this on Linux, but hey, if you run Mac, if you run Windows, it's going to work for you. You can develop on it and you can deploy it, and everybody. I can write a program here on Linux and you can run it on Windows or Mac. And then also there's easy deployment with this. The Kommander doesn't actually have any compile to it, but it's kind of a hybrid between a scripting language and a compile. Most scripting languages, like, you know, they'll come up with something, they'll say, look, I built the whole GUI, you know, the graphical interface in Python or whatever it might be. And, you know, that's great, but frankly, I don't really care about that. I care about getting things done quick. So there's a way that this actually builds it very quickly. It's all C++ libraries, and so the scripting is just the little actions that you do with it. So it's very fast. It's got very small files. I found about the largest file to be about 0.5 megabyte. Most of them are you know, under 40K. They're just tiny, tiny files. And the other thing is that you only have to push out the file that you edited because of this, because it's not compiled. So it's interesting, my wife would be working on a program on one computer and she'd say, I found a bug. I'm like, okay, great, what do you got? She'd tell me what it is, where it was. I go to my PC, in a matter of minutes, I pulled it up, I found exactly what she was doing, I found that task, I found the bug in there, I fix it, I push it out, she closes the dialog and reopens it. All of that takes less than 5 minutes, and she's got it fixed and running with no bugs, or at least with that bug fixed. Also, my philosophy is that I wanted Kommander to be dead simple programming. And one of the fun things that I noticed with Kommander was I got a lot of emails from people that said, I've never written a program before, but your program was so easy. I wrote programs with it, and now it's very popular. Okay, and so the thing about it is that programming can be very, very complicated. There's no doubt about that, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you're just focusing on the tasks and you're letting the rest of the program do all the heavy lifting for you. And so one of the things that, you know, the task-based, of course, but the other thing is I looked at spreadsheets, and I can't remember all of the functionality in a spreadsheet, just like I can't remember all the functionality in C++ or in Qt. I have to go and reference them and go through the documentation. But in Kommander, there's a little function browser, so you don't even have to know how to write the code. Just have an idea what you want, pull it up there, and fill in the blanks, push the button, and boom, the code shows up in there. You didn't have to write anything. That makes it very, very easy. Kommander also has plugins, so if you develop a plugin for something, or if you download a plugin, all of those plugins have all of those functions listed, and they access the function browser too. So everything in Kommander all goes through that. You don't have to know how to write anything. Mobile ready. Now, I mentioned this here before, and yes, Qt 5.2 or 3 basically has all kinds of mobile targets, and 5.4 just came out. And you can run this, your programs on Android, on iOS, on BlackBerry, on Windows Phone, and a bunch more targets, all the mobile targets you can think of. The only limitations on that with this, and it's going to be a little bit different because there would need to be a runtime with it, but the only limitation is if you're using other scripting languages in there, there may be issues with that. And that brings up the next point, any scripting language. I don't personally believe if you're going to use a graphical user interface development tool to write programs that you should have to be married to any one particular language. Now, Kommander has a native, super simple, typeless programming language, but if you like to program in PHP, JavaScript, Ruby, Perl, Python, whatever it might be, you can script in there with that. Now, like I say, the limitations are whether or not that can run on the mobile, but we're looking at ways to help to make that better, and some of that's already there. But by the way, you can have all those different scripting languages in one single dialog in Kommander. The other thing is rich extensible tools. Qt has grown since it first came out from just a basic graphical library to where it now had to be split up into different modules. There's 15 different modules, whatever you like, whether it's advanced three-dimensional graphics programming, you know, writing games, whether it's you know, networking, whether it's XML. There's plugins. There's something available for all of those. And also, all of these tools are free and open source. Now, that doesn't mean your program that you write with it has to be. You can charge for it if you like. But I believe in the open source model because that has really provided a lot of benefit for a lot of people around the world, and mostly in having control of data. Open source has been a very disruptive technology, and it's one that I still believe very strongly in. Now, the target audience is a medium to large business. Again, I'm going to show at the end of this video just how fast this is, but the savings is not the fact that you're not paying for the software. Hey, forget about that. Paying for software licenses is not a big cost for big companies that are going to dump 6 or 7 figures for their custom software. Paying for all the time that the programmers spend on it, that is a big cost. And if you can get it done 80% faster, right, you can fix bugs really quickly, and you have really easy and fast ability to distribute. That makes it really useful for them. Now, if you're it's economies of scale, they can afford that. But if you're a small business, you don't have that economy of scale. You're looking at it and you're saying, how do I compete with the big guys? How do I get control over my information management? I mean, information management is the name of the game in business. And for small business people, they've got to grab whatever they can find off the shelf, and everybody's trying to write that perfect program that one size fits all. One size never fits all. And with Kommander, even if you don't know how to program, right? Even if you don't know how to program, you could start and in a very short period of time have a working program that will help you to leverage your information specific to your business and what you're doing in ways that you would not have possible anywhere else. And again, with little or no programming knowledge. And then also, if you're a cross-platform application developer, hey, think about this. If you can develop an application very quickly and you can run it on Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, whatever you want, all from one base on that, that's pretty cool, and you can do that. Let's say that you still want to develop in your own programming application tools, but you want to show somebody something, what you're going to write. Well, again, you can prototype with Kommander. So right now, Kommander has been established. It's been working for the last, for years now. The current code base is very, very stable, and like I say, most of it is just porting over and then doing some things to enhance the development tools. It'll take several months of programming to do all of that, but again, a lot of programs take 18 months, whereas Kommander to update should only take several, 3, 4. The other thing is that I want to mention, if you look at the Qt toolkit, you'll see Qt Creator is a very nice environment. It just works with plugins, and that's what we're going to use for the new framework, and of course Qt Designer as before. Now what I'd like to do is just a couple of things, give you a quick tour of Kommander, show you several apps really quickly, and also give some illustrations of just how productive and fast Kommander is, and then finally show you a really quick how to write a simple program, which in Kommander turns out to be one line of code. So let me just show you really quickly. This is Kommander, the development application in KDE3, and so you can you've got a bunch of different widgets here: labels, Pixmax, text widgets, list boxes, condo boxes, trees, tables, buttons. Pretty much anything you could want for application widgets to design things with. And then over here there's also plugins, database, date time functions, a time widget. So here's an application that I developed for my business Kitty Hooch, and each of these different things here is showing different programs. These are all different program files. And I did that. I started the business in 2001, and I started the application about 2007. This is one for another business that I had that I did for just under 2 years. And what I'd like to do is first of all, by the way, here is that same program that I showed you here, right here. And here it is in the development mode where you can go through and work with it. Here's another program here that I wrote for working with applying for different trade shows and whatnot. And Kommander, the thing about it is, it's got a lot of capabilities. You can make it very dynamic, and it works very well. And it's got a lot of little things. I mean, it's very customizable. Okay. I want to talk to you about source lines of code. Now, this was something that a gentleman did in school or college that I thought was really interesting. They figure that it takes a certain amount of time to write a line of code, which is very reasonable, especially if you've done application programming, and it costs a certain amount to have a programmer. So he figured out in $2,004 how much it costs to hire a programmer, put them in an office space, buy them a computer, turn on the lights, and you know, for how many lines of code they wrote, how much that code was worth. They use this to show the worth of a lot of open source projects. It's kind of the flip side of when you go in there and say, you know, how much is it going to cost me to have this application developed? And so he did this. I converted this to run so it would actually count the lines of code in Kommander just for the tasks. And so what I'd like to do is show you what I did with this here. And this is run on the application here that I showed you, the Kitty Hooch application. And here's the file, the lines, the person months, and the value. And you can see some of these here are, you know, quite a few lines and quite a lot of value. And again, this is $2,004. And it comes down to the bottom here. And you've got 106 files, 124 person months, almost 125, 10.41 years, and $1.46. For $1.4 million. And the thing about it is that application was only one of two that I did while I was doing the business. I actually started it in 2007 and I ran the business with it for years. Let's see here. And the other application that I showed you here, I'm going to pull this one up. And this was a little bit smaller. And again, I did this business for 2 years and I ran the business with the application. And you come down here, it's 22 files. Okay, 2.35 years, estimated 317 million. Now, the point of this is not to try to impress you with those numbers or how much that software is worth. You know, software is expensive to get developed. The point of this is if you think about it, I was running a business. I wasn't spending all my time writing software, and yet it says that it should have taken me more time to write the software than the actual time that I had if I was just 8 hours a day writing software. That's very, very, very productive. I really believe in my application programming in C++ and then working with Kommander, the Kommander's at least 20% the time advantage. It's an 80% advantage, and it's going to get even better with this next version. So what I'd like to do is show you just how easy it is to write a program in Kommander. And it's always this thing to look at different programming languages called, you write your first program, they call it Hello World. So we're going to write a Hello World program, and the thing that is great about this here is that, you know, some of them they're like 100 lines, some of them are like 10 lines, some of them are like 4, 5, 6 lines, right? In Kommander, it's one line. I want to show you just how simple this is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new dialog here. Oops. We're going to create a new dialog, and we're going to, let's see. Well, actually, we can do a little bit of something fancy here. Let's go ahead and call it hello here, or my first program. But that's not actually a line of code. That's just a setting. And then we're going to add a text browser. We're going to add a button. We're going to add some layout because we want it to look nice. And we're going to lay it out. We're going to go to the button and we're going to say hello. And now we're ready to write our code. Are you ready? Here we go. We pulled it up to edit this. And do you know the code? Oh, let's go to the function browser. Now the function browser has arrays, function, file programs. It's got input. It's got the basic custom commanders things. All of these different things in here. And then also for every widget here that you have, you've got the different functionality over here. So what we want to do here is we want to take the text browser, right? And we want to take and set the text in the text browser. And we want to set that text to hello world, right? Now that we've done that, we come down here, we push the button, and it goes into this is where our inserted text is. Click OK, and there it is. There's our program, right? So we're going to run this, and it's, let's put it in demo. Let's call it demo 1, right? And here it is running, and we push the button, and it says hello world. Really just that easy. Now, when I mentioned over here that you could add the different plugins And I'm just going to add a date plugin, and I'm going to add a database plugin. The database, by the way, the new version will have the advantage of smart widgets. This one doesn't, but it's still very effective. And so I'm going to go over here and let's see, function browser. Let's go over to date time functions, and you can see over here on the right, it tells you, it explains what you're doing with that. Okay, go to database functions, and again, it tells you what you're doing with all of that, right? And so that's just a little quick overview of Kommander. Now, again, like I say, for all the different people that I said why you should watch the video, and then I said the last one, even if you're never going to write any software, the point is, supporting this project is going to help you, because my experience showed a lot of new software got developed when it became this easy for people to develop software. And that means even if you're never going to write software, if you support this project, it could help you to have a new piece of software that you really like. Or maybe someday you'll decide to make that software do some more cool things, because after all, it's just that easy. I'd like to thank you for helping me out and supporting the Kommander project.